Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now. Black power.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Today is Friday, June 26, 2026. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. There have been lots of conversation regarding the data center of the campus of Fisk University in Nashville. We will talk to the school's president and the company that will be overseeing the project. Black farmers in Mississippi are suing a farmer who they say paid them less than the white South African guest workers brought into the country by Donald Trump and Elon Musk. We'll talk with a lawyer on that case. A judge blocks the NAACP's efforts to create majority black voting districts in Mississippi. Also, white folks who sued in Louisiana want the state to pay their legal bills. Yeah, seriously. Texas Republicans want Bible stories to be taught in public schools, but somehow they started debating civil rights. Wait till you see what they said about Ruby Bridges. As the media continues to freak out about Democratic socialists being elected in New York City, we'll break this whole thing down. Also, folks, we remember two journalists who have become ancestors, including Tony Brown of Tony Brown's Journal. And Speaker Mike Johnson says if the Democrats get control of the Congress, they're going to be investigating Donald Trump and his donors and his friends and his families. You goddamn right. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the fine. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, roll, y'all. It's rolling Martin, yeah. Rolling with rolling now. He's funky, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's rolling Martin now.
The announcement by Fisk University that we're going to be launching a data center on its campus led to significant controversy, discussion among students, alumni, and folks there in Nashville. This innovation center that was announced was expansive, and it led to folks like State Representative Justin Jones protesting outside the school's gates against this $1 billion quantum leap initiative. As part of the campus growth plan, Fisk proposed a $400 million innovation center to give students an edge in emerging AI technologies and says the build will be eco-friendly. But critics believe the potential pollution and strain on local water and energy resources are not worth the investment. Joining us now, Dr. Eugenia Clark is the president of Fisk University. Don Harden is the CEO of the Don Harden Group. They will manage the construction and development of Fisk proposed innovation center. Glad to have both of you here. Dr. Clark, I'll start with you. First and foremost,
thank you.
This data center on this campus that's being proposed, is there another university, whether HBCU, PWI, PWBBI, doesn't matter, that has done anything like this? So what is the model for this on a university campus?
There are many universities that have data centers on their campus. And I think it was just this week that Johns Hopkins announced that they're getting ready to do a huge initiative with a data center on their campus. But I think that the question is, how many universities have places and spaces on their campus where they're running supercomputers? We refer to them as data centers, but in essence, that's really what it is. The question here that seems to have triggered the issues of concern, which are absolutely warranted, is what kind of space are you going to be allocating to operate these computers? Is it going to have an impact on our environment? Is it going to soak up all the resource of energy in our communities? How is it going to impact our water and noise pollution? And for the past 2+ years, those are things that we have been looking at and better understanding, not because Fisk University doesn't have a data center, but because we've learned that universities of higher education do have centers like this operating within the confines of their facilities already today, and many more are being announced. But most recently, that was the most recent one that I read about. So it is happening.
So when you say supercomputers, supercomputers and data center, that's two different perspectives in terms of how it's seen. What we have seen over the past couple of years, we have seen massive protests all across the country, Louisiana, Texas, in Virginia, in South Carolina, other places, as it relates to data centers and their impact on energy, on water, on utility bills. And so again, is this more akin to supercomputers on campus that you're calling a data center, or is this like the data centers that we are seeing exploding, being built all across the country?
So first of all data centers are not alike.
Right.
So we've got to, that's the first thing. So, I think the data centers that you're referencing here, what we call hyperscales, these are the big square footage, twice the size of football fields facilities. They're the ones that I've been reading about as well. Those are the ones that we hear the most about. No, that is not what we're looking at doing here at Fisk University. The concept that we are looking at is more of a micro scale. Therefore, it is requiring less square footage, it's requiring less energy, it's requiring less water, it's requiring less, because thanks to the outcry of what's happened around these hyperscale centers, we're now able to step back and look at them differently when you look at these micro scale centers, as well as the environmental impact that can be managed and controlled with the advent of the technology that these centers operate under.
We are seeing, and I'll go done with this one, we are seeing significant criticism and protest of a data center in Memphis with these turbines.
Oh, yes.
Of Elon Musk is building. Even the EPA sided with the protesters. Will this data center have those turbines? No. In terms of noise, in terms of pollution? If you can give the public an example, what existing university will this be modeled after, where people can say, okay, I can actually look to this example as to what it would be like on the campus of Fisk?
There are universities all around me right now with data centers in them.
Right. What I'm saying is, obviously you have critics. If you say, okay, this university, what we're seeking to build will be very similar to what they have. What that then allows someone to be able to see what they have, to be able to understand it. Because again, a perception of what a data center is what is one thing. What you're describing is the reality of it. And so if someone doesn't have something to model after, then all of a sudden they may be just thinking about these massive data centers that have been parts of protests across the country. So Don, in terms of, give us that sense because again, even in Nashville, you've got the protest of a data center near a zoo. And you've got folks saying, oh, this data center is going to impact the animals. And so your critics say, well, hell, if they're concerned about animals in data center, we should be concerned about the humans. So give us that perspective.
Definitely. Thanks for having us on. Definitely looking at models is very important. So there's University of Texas at Austin. They've had.
Oh, hey, Don, we don't mention that. We don't mention that school on this show. As a Texas A&M A&M graduate, I'm just messing. Go ahead.
I got you. I'll try to make sure I stay away from.
Yeah, go ahead.
If I do that again. But there's University of Arizona. There's actually Vanderbilt has two here. They have one that they use for their own compute for the IT and those kind of things, as well as research. So we see those as models. Not only that, but when it comes to things that words you haven't heard much of is that greenhouse emissions. So Vanderbilt actually has partnered with an organization that does solar panel farms. So we like that model, even though they're across town. But we like some of the models that they have. They reduce their greenhouse emissions, which allow the less pressure on their power grid. They actually. I think what I've read is Vanderbilt uses about 77% from the local electricity, and 23% comes from the energy they create themselves. Fisk is not quite in that position to do that. However, we are studying that another model that's not on university campus. A new one is Terra Data. That's in San Jose. That's not open yet. That's coming in 2027. When you look at that, the reason why we know about that is one of the engineers that we're considering, we haven't aligned ourselves with them yet, but that's a project that they said, hey, look at where they're selling us that idea of how to be sustainable. And the other thing that's important, Roland, is the power. So if we wouldn't be here on this talking about this project at all, if our local power company didn't commit up to 30 megawatts of power for us without any issues. We actually had to do system impact study. When that impact study came back, it told us that there will be no harm, there will be no drops in power from anyone else. And furthermore, the biggest thing they told us, it would not impact anybody else's utility bills.
In terms of impact on, again, student body, staff, things along those lines. As you are looking at this here, how are you studying that to make sure that there's no health impact as well?
Well,
we are.
So you want to answer that? No, I was going to say
when we even started this project, by the way, you should know that when we began evaluating this concept over 2 years ago, our absolute first consideration is the fact that we are right here in the heart of 37208. We've been here since 1866. Our neighbors and our students are a priority in every decision that we make, including all of the other elements of this university campus master plan, not just this one project. But when you look at how we're visualizing this one project, we are looking at it from the angles of that it will definitely not do any harm to those of us who are here all day, every day. The faculty, the staff, the students. We are in this space all the time. So we don't want to put anything in place that will provide any type of environmental harm, that could trigger any type of health issues to any of us that come and work here and spend an inordinate amount of time here every day.
Don, go ahead.
It begins with power. So things we're going to have to set design criteria. So we can't talk our way out of it. We have to engineer. I've been telling people we have to engineer our way out of this to a good solution. We have to engineer how the chillers are used, how they're placed, and when the robust power is going to allow us to not have to have so many generators. We've been told that by our engineers. We have robust power. We don't have to load up on generators. that create emissions. We can use backup batteries instead and place them inside. And also we're looking at ideas like putting the chillers and the cooling towers on the roof so they will emit sound up. And so if they're emitting sound up, then they're not emitting sound out. But we'll set criteria that, like, I think the city has 80 decibel limit. We'll try to be under that. So we're doing all those things. Furthermore, we want to make sure when you ride by and see a data center, it looks more like a college campus building. It has to have the aesthetics. So we're not doing ourselves justice if we don't set the right design criteria and have our engineers meet it, and we can do it. They're doing this every day across the world, across the country, for the world for that matter. I actually had our interns just research a lot of information about data centers worldwide. They looked at the top 10 reasons that people don't like data centers, and they looked at the top 10 reasons in Nashville. And so some of the things that we're talking about, just like people are raising, we can do that. Everybody engineers, if we properly engineer our data center, we'll be fine.
In terms of this project, is Fisk paying for this project, or is an external company paying you to have this center on its campus?
No one external is paying us for anything. We're just going to start there. So what happened about 45 days ago is Fisk University announced its campus master plan. This is our strategy and our vision that we have for the school to make sure we can be here another 160 years. The campus is 160 years old. There's so many infrastructure needs here that have to be addressed. That's all a part of this master plan. Included in the master plan are some new opportunities. All of these, and each of them will require a different funding model, a different design model. And what we did on May 14th is share with our community, fully transparent. This is what we see for Fisk for the next 160 years. This is where we want the conversation to begin. And as soon as we shared that information with community leaders who all showed up here on campus to hear about it, now our work really begins, project by project by project. So no one has said that they're paying for anything. What we have here, though, is a vision that we are going to be partnering with all shapes, forms, and fashions of financial support to make sure that we can really lift this campus up to make sure we're still here for another 160 more years. There's a lot of work to be done here.
And this innovation center, walk us through in terms of, Don, you talked about the benefits for the campus in terms of energy consumption, things along those lines. But what then else will this center be able to do for the university? Is it about bringing in external companies, bringing in them to partner with you? Explain that as well.
Yeah, I think, this is kind of, hopefully Dr. Clark is okay with me saying this. There are business models that data centers have. There's 4 or 5, actually 3 or 4 different business models that might make sense for this campus. So there's a co-location. So most data centers, many of them, I would say, outside of the hyperscalers, actually co-locate and put out and pay rent, get rent collected from various users, from network IT providers and so forth and so on. So I don't think we're going to rule out the opportunity to bring actual business and bring dollars to this data center. So, we can see the opportunity, and we still have engineering to do, but we can see the opportunity for the supercomputer type model where Fisk can do all the research. We see Meharry, they're set up to do a lot of medical imaging studies. And then we see an opportunity for the business model for Fisk to generate income. So I think that we haven't ruled that out, but we still have a long way to go to figure out how Fisk could bring partners in. What you laid out, Dr. Clark, I'm familiar with the issue that you have in terms of your infrastructure on the campus.
When I was the Rebus Mitchell Scholar in Residence, I had conversations with then President Van Newkirk. There was a building that was being built. I think that y'all had not had a building built on the campus since Eisenhower was president. And so that's what this is about. And so in terms of this project, you have the data center, the innovation center, but what else is in this $1 billion plan when it comes to construction on the campus?
I'm glad you share with everyone about your history being here on the campus. We need a new student center. We must modernize several of our existing residence halls. We've got to get that done. But one of the other projects we're really excited about that we're in the stages of getting started is an expansion to our John Lewis Center for Social Justice. So renovations to residence halls. We need a student center, something that would allow us to be more competitive in this competitive space to get students to come to Fisk University. Upgrades to our residence halls, that's an imperative, because as we attract more students, we need a place to house them. And then you have projects like the expansion that we're getting ready to do, the annex to the John Lewis Center for Social Justice. We're very, very excited about that project and are looking forward to announcing the final outcomes on that, hopefully here before the end of this calendar year.
What was the lesson here? You had lots of blowback, obviously. Was it a failure to understand that in this space that we're in now, how people are responding to data centers, to AI, not fully taking that into account, and being able to walk critical folks through in terms of explaining really what this is? Because you obviously had petitions, and you had Representative Jones, you had others who were saying that stakeholders were not properly informed and communicated with.
So I would have to say not true. For the past 2 years, I've been talking to all kinds of stakeholders. I regret that I didn't get to everyone, but many will tell you they've been hearing about this for some time now. Not only talking about the concept, but how we're researching it, how we're evaluating it. So that's why we went public on May 14th to say, this is what we're looking at. Now let's start getting your feedback, because none of this is finalized. This was a concept that we thought made sense for what we do at Fisk University and the students we serve today. We are educating students who are born in the digital age. We have got to have campus resources that allow us to continue to be competitive in that space, because here at Fisk University, right now, 30% of our students that graduate annually are graduating in computer science. Fisk University is known for being a STEM institution under the liberal arts umbrella. In order for us to continue to excel in that space, we've got to continue to provide all of the necessary tools that make us competitive. So yes, you've heard about the petitions, you've heard about the blowback, but that does not also equate to all of those who are cheering us on, that are excited about this project, that believe that the entire campus plan makes excellent sense for Fisk, because we at Fisk must figure out how to go from surviving to thriving, and how do we stay competitive in this competitive higher ed marketplace for another 160 years. It's a challenge we're all faced with.
Questions from my panel. Joining us, Michael Imhotep, host African History Network show out of Detroit. Glad to have him here. Nicole Robinson, political law attorney and strategist from D.C. Matt Manning, civil rights attorney out of Corpus Christi. And Michael, you first.
All right. Thanks for coming on to give more clarity to this conversation. I recently attended Artificial Intelligence Summit here in Detroit that was organized by Black Tech Saturdays. And I was wondering, I know you mentioned computer science, Doctor. I was wondering if you could talk for a minute about the careers that that your students will be able to train for at this at Quantum Leap, at this data center? What type of careers for the future is this going to prepare them for, to take advantage of?
Michael, that's an excellent question. And while you're talking about that conference, I didn't get a chance to attend that one. But I did speak at a conference out on the West Coast known as ASU plus GSV, and it's where they bring together higher ed and high tech to have these conversations about what are we doing to prepare the workforce of the future. What is really critically important about when we talk about the skills that we're going to need for this high-tech, fast-paced, moving workforce of the future isn't the technical skills, it's the cognitive skills that are gained with a liberal arts training. So you may get computer science here at Fisk University, but all of the other experiences that we offer our students allow them to be good, strong cognitive thinkers, because at the end of the day, the technology can't replace everyone or everything. Right. It is going to be heavily reliant upon those leaders who can take learning, integrate it into machine learning, and provide products that are useful to all of us. So what we're doing here at Fisk University is already in place. We have students that may come to Fisk and be a Fisk Jubilee singer, majoring in biochem, and also a member of the rocket team. We have students, that come to Fisk that may major in psychology, be a member of the rocket team, and at the same time have a minor in data analytics. So the thing that makes us unique in this space, and having an innovation center right here at their fingertips, will allow us to enrich and expand those experiences that we're offering them today. And then finally, I'll share this. When we started having this conversation about this idea a couple of years ago, we immediately went to the academic leadership of the institution, and those are the deans here at Fisk University. And they started looking at this and evaluating this and talking about what will that mean for the academic experience here at Fisk University, not just for the students, but also for the faculty and impact to staff. They've done a marvelous product that I think we're going to be releasing on Monday that answers your question specifically. So make sure I know how to get in touch with you, because I like to send you that report to take a look at.
All right, thank
Nicole.
Again, thank you both for joining us. I wanted to talk a little bit more about the community involvement in the plans for this project. So you mentioned that you connected with stakeholders throughout this process. Can you talk about how you conferred with students and everyday community members, and if you plan to continue collaborating with them throughout this process?
Oh, because it's not a done process. So we have lots more to do. So since I've been here at Fisk University, the one thing that I have taken to heart, and I've spent an inordinate amount of time doing and will continue to do, is having a series of direct conversations. I have hosted here countless opportunities for students to come and talk with me, and they have. Just did another one, as a matter of fact, last week, I believe. Faculty have had conversations with me, staff have had conversations, and I've had meetings with alumni about what's going on here at Fisk. Those conversations have been going on for 2.5 years. However, in the past 2 years, I've focused those conversations more on a master plan. What do we want for Fisk that will help us stay in this space and thrive in this space? Because Fisk University is the first institution of higher education here in Nashville. We want to hang on to that. We want to be the HBCU, along with the other three that are here in our community, that are continuing to lift up the brand and the value of these institutions. So it requires that I'm having conversations with my elected officials, with the alumni, with residents of the community. We're doing more of those on Monday, as a matter of fact. I think I have 2 on Monday. I mean, this is not something that just happened. This has been going on for over 2 years. By announcing it publicly, This is just allowing everyone else who hasn't had a chance to be a part of the conversation to not come join in it. And yes, the answer to your question is definitely. Our doors are open and we're getting ready to start more of those conversations as we continue on this journey.
Matt Manning?
Yeah, so I have a couple quick questions. I'm a Howard man, not a Fisk man, but I know at Howard they've got a number of programs where they partner with like investment banks and others to give students kind of a pipeline. So the first question is, are there any cemented agreements that you have with any technological companies to give Fisk University graduates a leg up through this data center, number one? Number two, as it relates to the data center, are there any agreements with those companies to get what's produced there, and how is Fisk going to leverage that data that's coming through the center? And then the final question is any of this cost going to be pushed onto the students? Is there going to be a tuition increase or any kind of financial detriment to them for building this center?
So you asked three very distinct questions, but they all are sort of coupled in the same answer. The model that we're looking at is not going to generate more cost to students. The models that we are evaluating is that whoever we identify as a partner, and we do not have one. And the reason we don't have a partner, I think, is important to share. Fisk University has first got to confirm what we want our standards to be in order to be a partner with us. And then the other answer to your question is, this will all be a part of the individuals that come forward or the businesses that come forward to say they want to be a part of this unique model, that they can now say, we know what your expectations are, and this is how we can deliver to it. I will share this, though. With all of the partners we currently have here at Fisk, whether it's in fintech or healthcare or social justice, when we start those conversations, we start by saying, what are the opportunities you'll be providing to our students, i.e. coaching, mentoring, internships. And those are some of the most robust programs we have here at Fisk. And that is a requirement we have with the partners we have today. I can assure you that whoever we talk to as a partner for this innovation center, they have to know that's what our standard is.
Okay, so you said, so here's the question. How do you pay for it? How do you pay for this? And then when do you hope to break ground on this innovation center?
That's a tough question to answer right now because we're still working and identifying what the guidelines and parameters are going to be for a data center in the Metro Nashville marketplace. So for instance, right now we're working with the Metro Planning Commission, we're working with Metro Council and other community constituents, because before we can take this product into the market, we have to know what the parameters are around it. We know a few things right now. We know about the energy, we know more about the water, we know about a little bit more about safety and security. What we don't know are the other guidelines that need to come through our metro planning process. Once we have all that bundle, along with the desires and wishes of an institution of higher education in relationship to the students that we serve, then we'll go into the marketplace. The only thing I know is this: we are not selling our land to do this. We're looking at land that Fisk University owns and has owned, and we're looking at building out and developing some space that's undeveloped on our campus right now.
Right. Well, we look forward to seeing as these details develop. We appreciate walking us through this. Obviously, there are critical issues that we always talk about. I would ask this. So, Don, your company, are you the prime contractor on this?
No, our role is owner's rep. We're the owner's representative on this particular project. We're a general contractor, but we're doing something on this scale as a data center is not our capacity. We are doing other projects on the campus, but not the data center.
Gotcha. And Dr. Clark, I'm sure that when it comes to building this, you'll be looking at Black construction companies?
That's
Don't
my
we
role, for
always?
sure.
Why do you think? Why do you think
Yes.
Don Harden's working with us?
No. He did.
Also,
No, yeah, I did. This ain't my first rodeo. I always ask.
No.
Yeah,
And
that's,
speaking
I
of
love the
rodeos,
question.
please promise me that you're going to have us back when we're ready to give you an update on all the other specifics that we can't answer today because we're still working with the process. I would love to come back and then actually show you where we've come from today to then, and what does it look like, and what are the parameters by which we're going to operate this.
Oh, absolutely. So
Have us back.
No, I've no problem with that. I own this. I don't have to ask anybody. So that's not a problem. So we'll do that. There is on Monday. There's a town hall, 6:30 Central, where North Nashville leaders will host a community town hall on the Fisk University Data Center. It's taking place at Lee Chapel, AME Church, 1200 Drive, DB Todd Jr. Boulevard. The NAACP Nashville branch will be hosting that town hall. Certainly appreciate it. Dr. Clark, thank you so very much. Don, thank you, Don Hart. Thank you so very much as well.
Thank you, sir, for having us.
Appreciate it.
All right, folks, going to a break. We'll be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. All right, folks, let me tell you about Chapter. Now, if you're on Medicare or about to be, the system is not set up to work for you. Too much fine print, too many plans, and too many people making money off of your confusion. And look, we're used to this. We're no strangers to systems that don't have our best interests at heart. But we don't have to accept it when it comes to Medicare. That's why I'm telling you about Chapter. Their advisors are independent and honest. In fact, they're the only Medicare advisors that compare every plan nationwide. And they're focused on one thing: what works for you. If there's a better plan out there, they'll find it. If you're already in the right one, they'll tell you that too. There are no games. Just last year, people who switched with Chapter saved an average of $1,100. It's 20 minutes and a real person. It's completely free. My parents actually have already called. My mom sent me a text. Folks, give Chapter a call at 724-264-8281, 724-264-8281, and connect with someone you can trust. Folks, these are the kind of services that we need for our audience here at Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network. So call Chapter right now, 724-264-8281.
My name is Lena Charles, and I'm from Opelousas, Louisiana. Yes, that is Zydeco capital of the world.
My name is Margaret Chappelle. I'm from Dallas, Texas, representing the Urban Trivia Game.
It's me, Sherry Shepherd, and you know what you watch.
Roland Martin on Unfiltered.
Donald Trump's administration has tossed out the anti-discrimination rule governing disaster aid. Beginning next week, the Department of Homeland Security will no longer insist that state and local governments go out of their way to ensure that when they give out federal disaster aid, they do not inadvertently do so in ways that disadvantage racial minorities. While DHS will still prohibit discrimination intentionally, it says local governments no longer have to consider if their disaster relief efforts unintentionally further racial inequality. One example, last year marked the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. After the storm, DHS distributed disaster relief funds based on the property value of what was destroyed, which meant that rich white neighborhoods and business districts quickly rebuilt. Meanwhile, parts of the poor black lower 9th Ward still have not been rebuilt to this day. Also keep in mind, that was the Biden administration. They were going to advance a lawsuit as it relates to in Texas, where they received $1 billion after a hurricane there, and they chose not to give that money to Harris County. The Biden administration laid out that as a result, they were hurting African Americans and Latinos. ProPublica did a huge story on this. What did Donald Trump's administration do? They completely got rid of that particular lawsuit. What this goes to show you, Matt, is that this administration absolutely, positively, without a doubt, is anti-black. They do not care about black people or Latinos and people of color. And so for the folks who vote for them, understand you're literally voting against your own interests if you're supporting this white nationalist administration.
And it's going to be buttressed in the legal filings by the Supreme Court's recent decision in the voting rights cases, talking about discrimination, and basically that it's got to be intentional discrimination. What's almost certainly going to happen now, despite the fact that they're completely different, substantive areas of the law, is you're going to see citations to this idea that unless it's intentionally discriminatory, you won't be able to divine someone's intent as it relates to why, contingency A of citizens got money and contingency B did not get as much money or a proportional amount of money. And what it's going to ultimately come down to is it's going to give further discretion for this administration to do exactly what you said, which is disadvantage Black people, but to do it under the guise of, some other pretextual reason why they're not given the same amount of money. And what you're seeing this administration do is attack every aspect of life in this same regard, but try to couch it almost in this legal, argument that they're getting from the highest court in the land, which is that it's okay if you're not, intentionally discriminating. But the problem with that is it's just like the deliberate indifference standard or other legal standards I deal with all the time, where it's very obvious what's happening. It's just enshrouded in different language. And what they're going to say now is, oh, there's some other reason why the money is not being allocated appropriately, when we know what it is that they either don't care about the people who are receiving that money, or they're abjectly being racist. And I don't think you're wrong about the administration continuing to signal to us which along those groups it lies.
And listen, we have been building this case and just story after story, Nicole, on what it is these folks are doing. And this is simply the latest one. You take, of course, the Supreme Court decision regarding temporary protected status for Haitians. You have a Supreme Court decision, 6-3, where that could put 350,000 Haitians and 6,100 Syrians in jeopardy. Now, here's the thing that's crazy here. You have, and if you want to understand how MAGA thinks, you want to understand why they're thinking this way, all you have to do is listen to that violent racist Megyn Kelly, who showed her ass when she said this.
For over a dozen years. Go home. Get out. We know our country's better than yours. That's because we filled it with our work ethic and our culture and our values. You being here only dilutes it for us, those who built it and live it. And half of you people, more than half, you won't assimilate. We don't want you. We don't care if you're offended. Get out. Go home. Go back to fucking Haiti. Sorry. I'm thinking about our friends in Ohio who've been dealing with these TPS Haitians for years now, who are drunk driving all over their towns and killing people. This is the whole cats and dogs thing. Like, they don't want to live like Americans live. And this was supposed to be it was supposed to be temporary help. And it's turned into another backdoor way of allowing someone permanent residency here. And they take advantage of all of our public services. And
let's just be real clear. Megyn Kelly is a fucking idiot. And the reason she's a fucking idiot is because she just sat there and repeated the bullshit lie about cats and dogs. That was a story made up by a white woman who actually had her dog returned. It's a bullshit lie. But not only that, it also shows you how this airhead so-called lawyer hasn't even read shit. Okay? She went on and on and on, Nicole, about, our culture. Heifer, let me explain something to you. The largest land purchase in the United States was a Louisiana Purchase, which was a result of slave revolt in Haiti in 1804. You talk about culture? You don't have fucking culture, Megyn Kelly, without Haitians. What the hell do you think New Orleans is? We can go on and on and on and literally break down the culture that Haitians have provided to the United States. Her no dancing ass needs to understand that as well. But then she cited, oh my God, the people in Springfield, they've been dealing with these people and they've been drunk driving. Really? Do y'all recall 60 Minutes when they went to Springfield, Ohio, and they talked to a white man, CEO of a company, and this is what he said about those Haitians.
It started slowly. We had an application pool that was a little bit different.
People coming to work here.
People looking for jobs. What he's welding here again are welded axle components.
Jamie McGregor is the CEO of McGregor Metal, which makes welded parts for the auto and farm industries. Right now, about 10% of his workforce is Haitian, over 30 employees.
I wish I had 30 more. Our Haitian associates come to work every day. They don't have a drug problem. They'll stay at their machine. They'll achieve their numbers. They are here to work. And so in general, that's a stark difference from what we're used to in our community.
Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe y'all didn't catch what he said. What he was really saying is, these white people here, their ass don't come to work on time. They don't work hard. He said, we're not used to that. Roll it again.
It started slowly. We had an application pool that was a little bit different.
People coming to work here.
People looking for jobs. What he's welding here again are welded axle components.
Jamie McGregor is the CEO of McGregor Metal, which makes welded parts for the auto and farm industries. Right now, about 10% of his workforce is Haitian, over 30 employees.
I wish I had 30 more. Our Haitian associates come to work every day. They don't have a drug problem. They'll stay at their machine. They'll achieve their numbers. They are here to work. And so in general, that's a stark difference from what we're used to in our community.
That's a stark difference than what we're used to in our community, Nicole. He's saying these white folk don't work as hard as the Haitians.
You know, first of all, for this white woman to say that her and her people are the ones that built this country is laughable, because we know that the United States was built on the backs of Black people, immigrants, people of color, everybody but white people. We did the hard labor to get us where we are today. And the foundation of America was built on immigrants. That's why we have the Statue of Liberty in New York. So now for her to sit here and say that we want them to leave, that we don't want them here, that is absolutely not true. And America is going to see what will happen if we start really trying to get rid of all of our protected immigrants. This country will really go downward, especially economically. We need everybody to thrive. And one thing that we know is that capitalism needs people at the underclass to point and hate each other for it to thrive. Now they want us to blame Syrians and Haitians for job loss and all these crazy things. But really what we need to be doing is coming together and fighting against the people at the top that want us to be fighting against each other. We need our Haitians, we need our Syrians, we need all of our immigrants here in this country.
See, Michael, what these races are all about, and this is precisely why I wrote my book, White Fear. That racist diatribe from Megyn Kelly, just flat out, is test case A, example A, or example 6,196 of white people being scared to death. Oh my God, they're stealing our country. The fact of the matter is, Springfield, Ohio was a dying Midwest city. They had lost 30,000 people. Homes not being purchased, jobs not being filled, sales tax receipts decreasing. Why? Because they didn't have people. Now, who says that the Haitians saved their asses, saved their white asses? The mayor of Springfield, the Republican governor of Ohio. That's what actually did it. Them white folks should be bowing down, thanking the Haitians for saving their trifling ass city because people were leaving because there was nothing there.
Yeah, Roland, I remember when Junior Varsity Vance lied and said that the Haitians were eating the dogs and cats in 2024, as well as Donald Trump. And I remember that it put the lives of Haitians there in Springfield, Ohio in jeopardy. There were death threats, bomb threats, things like this. And these white nationalists, white supremacists doubled down on the lie. So I saw the diatribe from Megyn Kelly, and she's appealing to her white nationalist, white supremacist audience. And, you know, yes, Governor DeWine talked about how the Haitians rejuvenated Springfield, Ohio. They saved it. And my thing is...
hold on, Michael.
Also,
hold on. Just stick it right there. Because let's just actually hear from him on Fox News in September 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Why did they come? They came for jobs. When you talk to the employers who are employing them, they'll tell you, look, they're very hard workers. They're very family-oriented. One employer was quoted saying, I wish I could hire 100 other ones to fill the jobs that we have. So that's why they came. But I don't think anybody expected that, that big of a surge. I mean, basically what happens is, they're here under a classification. There's 16 countries under this classification. And when they come in, they can then apply for that. And the reason Haiti is in there is because it's an extremely violent country, and a country that since the president was killed 2 years ago, the gangs are basically running the country. So, that's why they fled Haiti, and that's why
you
they are
support
here.
that program. You support TPS, right?
Yeah. Sure.
The protected...
Sure. Look,
Go ahead.
Yeah, Martha, we've always had some program. We've always had some program like that. Remember, well, you don't remember, but I remember way back, in the 50s and 60s, we did that with Cuba when Castro was there. So.
We did it with Cuba when Castro was there, and Cubans in Florida formed the basis of the Republican Party. But here's the other deal, Michael. And that is this here. Megyn, the United States, we fucked up Haiti. The United States and France destroyed Haiti, destroyed their economy. And so you can complain about how screwed up Haiti was. No. This country screwed up Haiti. The blockade. The United States, you complaining about 350,000? Trust me, Haiti today would look 5 times as better than the other side of the island where Haiti is, the Dominican Republic. If the United States, because matter of fact, just so y'all understand history, it was Haitian president that ended slavery in the Dominican Republic, and that's how that country became independent. But you wouldn't know that, but the history, it was Haiti that freed the DR. And so had the United States and France not screwed over Haiti, that country would be so far ahead. I dare say, Michael, it would be the crown jewel of the Caribbean and the Western Hemisphere if the United States, if the racist United States had not sabotaged Haiti for more than 150 years.
Yeah, and we know from about 1914 to about 1934, 1935, we know the U.S. occupied Haiti. We know going back to President Woodrow Wilson, he sent the U.S. Marines into Haiti. We know they took out $500,000 from the National Haitian Bank as well. You talked about the Louisiana Purchase. People forget the reason why Napoleon Bonaparte was forced to sell the 828 178,000 square miles of land that France controlled here in this country that they stole from Native Americans. Let's not forget that, okay, was because the Haitians were kicking France's behind in the Haitian Revolution. France was going almost bankrupt. So they sold that land to the U.S., which doubled the territory of the U.S. and also gave the U.S. more territory to have enslaved Africans, which increased the need for enslaved Africans as well. But very quickly, Roland, Governor DeWine is absolutely correct. But let's not forget, and you talked about this, I think it was last night, Haitians make up a large portion of the healthcare industry here in this country. Okay, it's about 111,000 that work in the healthcare industry, and a lot of them work in the nursing homes, take care of the elderly, things of this nature. Okay, so these are very hardworking people that provide critical services. If you deport these 350,000 Haitians, you're going to severely hurt the U.S. economy. And following along with that idea, I would call on undocumented immigrants and legal immigrants that are here. If you want to embark upon this, y'all should go on strike for a week and shut this shit down and crush this economy. And because this is straight up white nationalism, white supremacy. And for all you black people out there that want these Haitians deported, things like this, they're coming for us too. You're not exempt. Calling yourself FBA or ADOS is not a force field against white supremacy and racism. Racism and white supremacy attacks all black people, regardless of the origin, the country of your origin, the language you speak, or the religion you practice, okay? And Dr. John Henry Clark, who's behind me, his picture, he taught us that the white man is a better Pan-Africanist than you because he don't want none of you. And for Megyn Kelly to then add insult to injury and say that half of these Haitians or most of them will not assimilate, okay? This reminds me of 1924 when Calvin Coolidge signed that Anti-Asian Immigration Act. And he said, we have to keep America American. He's talking about for white people. This is the same thing that Donald Trump said when back in about 2018, 2019, he said, why are we bringing these people in from these shithole countries like Haiti? Why can't we bring more people in from the Netherlands? And he's importing white South Africans from South Africa. Y'all better wake up. Otherwise, you're going to, we haven't seen the worst of this. It's going to get worse. We better wake up.
Zoran Mamdani, who is Zoran Mamdani, who is the mayor of New York City, he released this video making it clear that New York City will do all it can to protect Haitians from deportation.
We saw today the Supreme Court make a decision that is putting so many people's lives in jeopardy. And I just came back from a rally with 1199 as I stood alongside a number of Haitian New Yorkers who are concerned about what this means for their status in our city. And frankly, this city, the one that we love, is one that has been built by so many from so many different parts of the world. And that includes our Haitian brothers and sisters, our Syrian brothers and sisters. And we stand here ready to be in solidarity with all of those who are concerned by today's decision. And beyond just language of solidarity, actions of solidarity. Now, what that means when it comes to our city is if you are worried about what this means for your status, if you're worried about what this means for your family, I would encourage you to call our Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs hotline, and you can do so at 1-800-354-0365. Again, that's 1-800-354-0365. Now, many of you know this is a city of 8.5 million people. More than 3 million of us were born elsewhere. I'm one of them. We're a city that's proud of our immigrant heritage. And when we think about especially what Haitian New Yorkers have had to deal with, not just for weeks or months, we saw today.
Let me do this here, y'all. So, and again, I just want you to understand from a historical standpoint what's going on here. This is actually the Harvard Law School International Human Rights Clinic. This piece is called What the World Owes Haiti. And when you see this story, it says right here, it breaks out, it talks about a New York Times investigation regarding foreign intervention in Haiti's history. This was published June 29th, 2022, so almost to the day 4 years ago. It said the Times' meticulous expose of the massive debt that France illegally extorted from Haiti after its independence demonstrates how the payments, totally and estimated $21 to $115 billion, kept Haiti poor and unstable for 2 centuries. Imagine if the United States, this fledgling 13 colonies, had to repay England $115 billion. Do you actually think the United States would look like it does today? No, it would not. It says that the investigation also documented that the U.S. Marines forced transfer of $500,000 in gold from Haiti's National Bank to Citigroup in New York in 1914, and the 19-year occupation that followed was spurred in part by pressure from Wall Street. See, Megyn Kelly will never, ever own up to any of this. Donald Trump would not own up to any of this. In fact, these racists will not own up to any of this because we know exactly who they are. And do understand, when you look at the ruling that was in this case, you had Supreme Court Justice Sam Alito, who pretty much said that, there was no racial bias involved in this. There was no racial bias that precipitated the Trump administration from targeting these Haitians. And you sat there and you were like, did that fool actually say this? Yeah, this is what he said in the opinion. Some statements express great displeasure with TPS. They note, among other things, that TPS designations have often been far from temporary and that aliens who are allowed to stay in the United States under the program are not vetted like other aliens who seek admission. But go back further. This is what he says. None of the cited statements by either the president or the secretary was overtly racial, and in substance, all express policy views that could rest on race-neutral justifications. Extreme Court Justice Samuel Alito, that idiot, that January 6th supporter, him and his wife, actually said, oh no, the things that they expressed, that stuff wasn't racial. I can't believe that y'all would sit here and say those things. Yeah. In her dissenting opinion, Supreme Court Justice Elena Kagan said, your punk ass is a liar. She said, here's some of those statements. Haitians are eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live in Springfield, Ohio. Haitians are also eating other things, too, they're not supposed to be. Haitians in the United States probably have AIDS. Haiti is a shithole country, which is filthy, dirty, and disgusting. Haitian immigration is like a death wish for our country. And Haitians, along with some others, are poisoning the blood of our country. Why is it we only take people from shithole countries like Haiti and Somalia? Why cannot we have some people from Norway and Sweden? The majority briefly replies that those remarks are not, quote, overtly racial. But it is hard to know what that means. Haitians are black. Norwegians and Swedes, not so much. The references of filth, disease, and primitiveness are shot through with racial stereotypes and tropes. It is hard to imagine the statements being made today of any white community. No very sensitive inquiry of the kind Arlington Heights compels is needed to see them for what they are. Judges, as we often say, are not required to exhibit a naivete from which ordinary citizens are free. The statements fairly shout in their racial undertones and overtones alike that race entered into the president's resolve to remove Haitians from this country. But folks, the racist attacks ain't just on Haitians. It's on Somalians. And it comes from other members of the Republican Party, such as Tom Emmer. Listen to this gross disrespect of Somalians.
Guess what? There is nothing racist about calling out a criminal. So when I say that it's time, It's time. I mean, this is what they do in the great state of Minnesota. You know, our culture, that Scandinavian culture. By the way, I better make it clear before I go any farther. Minnesotans, are there any here? Ah, good. Then let me just say. Okay, well, born, yeah, you're wearing that hat. You must be from northern Minnesota, the Iron Range. No. Probably closer to Iowa. No, I'm going to leave that alone. The reason I bring it up is because I tell people regularly, Minnesota did not create passive-aggressive behavior, but we did perfect it, okay? And I happen to be more on the aggressive side, which doesn't always work in Minnesota, as Ralph will tell you. You know, sometimes Minnesotans are so afraid that you're going to call us a racist, you're going to call us an Islamophobe, you're going to call us some name that we just don't want to get into that fight. You know what? I would argue that I never did care, but I am done being careful, even the least bit careful. And I don't really care where you come from, but if you come to this great country, you have to understand you're coming here to be an American. We celebrate everyone's culture. We're happy with that, as long as you are an American. Celebrate your culture. I don't care. Italian, Polish, Somali, okay? But they don't assimilate. And if they don't assimilate, then they should go the hell back to where they came from. Sorry, Ralph, I know this is a family show. I can't help myself today. Yeah. It's a...
Oh, so that's how we gonna roll, Tom Emmer? Okay, and y'all need to understand, Chief Racist Stephen Miller, this is what he actually said after the Supreme Court ruling yesterday.
Well, I think the most important point is that this administration, on the asylum point, has implemented international agreements all over the world to take in our asylum seekers. So America's doors are closed fully to asylum seekers. We've set up agreements where if you want asylum, then we will find a country elsewhere in the world to take you. It's very simple, very elegant, very complete solution. Now, of course, as you know, you've heard me talk about here many times before, all asylum claims across the southwest border are always found.
Really? Y'all might have saw that thing flash right there. That's quite interesting because it's October of this year, 2025. 4,499 refugees have been allowed into the United States. 4,496 of those folks have been white South Africans. That is a fact. What we are seeing here, Matt, is pure, unadulterated racism. And what we have to deal with here, Michael and Nicole, is that when these ADOS FBA people, when they spout language, the anti-immigration language, even anti-black immigration language, they sound just like Tom Emmer. They sound just like Stephen Miller. They sound just like Donald Trump. They literally, Michael, are speaking for white nationalists.
Absolutely. It's white supremacy through ventriloquism. That's what it is. And it reminds me of three quick points here. It reminds me of a political meme I saw in the past couple of weeks from urban intellectuals on Facebook. And it said the cockroach, out of hatred for the ant, voted for insecticide, and the fly, out of apathy, didn't vote at all. And they all died because of the consequences of an election. Okay. And this is how you get a white nationalist, white supremacist like Stephen Miller, who's deputy chief advisor to Donald Trump. This is the same Stephen Miller who headed up American First Legal, who rounded up white farmers to sue the U.S. government to block the $5 billion from the American Rescue Plan that was going to go to black farmers and farmers of color that John Boyd talked about here
on this show a number of times that dealt with discrimination against farmers of color. That was white supremacist, white nationalists right there that rounded them up to block that. And then right now, I've said this before on the show, Roland, right now on the State Department's website, there is a level 4 travel advisory warning Americans do not travel to Haiti because of crime, violence, because of poor health care, things of this nature. And you're going to send 350,000 back there. So, and lastly, for all the black people who out here talking about reparations, this same goddamn government is suing Evanston, Illinois to block $25,000 of reparations to black people. So where the hell are you going to get reparations from?
And here's the thing. When Megyn Kelly talks about go back to where you come from, keep in mind, Stephen Miller people ain't from here. This is his uncle on CNN's Anderson Cooper saying, well, thank God we had an immigration policy, because if that's the case, we would not have been able to come here.
Piece you wrote, you described your nephew, Stephen Miller, as an immigration hypocrite. What do you mean by that?
It's an important question, and I have to preface my response by saying that I wrote this article more in sadness than in anger or resentment. Our family history is entirely dependent upon the fact that our family was able to escape from a terrible situation in what is now the country of Belarus. In those days, was part of the Russian Empire.
Your family first came here, I think, in the early 1900s.
The first of our particular group came over in 1903. They worked for a while peddling fruit and doing sweatshop work, and then they were able to round up enough money to bring over the rest of the immediate family. Everybody else who didn't make it, they were all swept away in the Holocaust and dead.
And so you're saying the hypocrisy
had, well, let's put it simply.
And I'll say this here. I'm quite sure that Native Americans are listening to Stephen Miller and Megyn Kelly and saying, when all y'all gonna leave? When all y'all gonna go back? Because y'all didn't assimilate into the culture that was already here. See, this is how whiteness works. Y'all need to assimilate. Megyn Kelly talking about our culture. Megyn, you ain't got no color. I mean, you ain't got no culture. Without black people, y'all ass ain't got no music. Because hell, country music ain't y'all. That came from us. Hell, without us, y'all ain't got no food, because y'all absolutely ain't got no clue what the hell seasoning is. We know your little narrow ass can't dance, so you ain't got no rhythm. And so I'm sure Nicole and Matt, when these white folks go out and they say, let's go eat some Chinese food. Let's go eat some Mexican food. Let's go get Thai. Let's go get some Indian food. Let's try some soul food. Hell, y'all asses didn't even create barbecue. If y'all want to talk about the worst food in the world, shit, go eat in England. We all know none of them can cook. So let's be clear. Your food sucks. You ain't got no music without us. You ain't got dancing without us. You ain't got seasoning without us. So Megyn, when you say our culture, do you know what our culture is? Rape, murder, pillaging, being thieves. That's your culture. Because that is your history. We come back. We'll talk with the lawyer representing black farmers who are suing because you got white South African refugees being paid more than they are in Mississippi. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. Folks, listen, ain't no other show having these type of conversations. Raw, real, and unapologetic. So join our Bring the Funk fan club. You want to give you a cash app? Use the Stripe QR code. You see it right here on the screen. That's also, if you're listening, go to blackstarnetwork.com. Checks and money order, make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. PayPal, R. Martin Unfiltered. Venmo, RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back. Now, if you're in Medicare or about to be, the system is not set up to work for you. Too much fine print, too many plans, and too many people making money off of your confusion. And look, we're used to this. We're no strangers to systems that don't have our best interests at heart. But we don't have to accept it when it comes to Medicare. That's why I'm telling you about Chapter. Their advisors are independent and honest. In fact, they're the only Medicare advisors that compare every plan nationwide. And they're focused on one thing: what works for you. If there's a better plan out there, they'll find it. If you're already in the right one, they'll tell you that too. There are no games. Just last year, people who switched with Chapter saved an average of $1,100. It's 20 minutes and a real person. It's completely free. My parents actually have already called. My mom sent me a text. Folks, give Chapter a call at 724-264-8281, 724-264-8281, and connect with someone you can trust. Folks, these are the kind of services that we need for our audience here at Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network. So call Chapter right now, 724-264-8281.
What's up, y'all? This is Wendell Haskins, a.k.a. Win Hogan at the original T-Golf Classic. And you know I watch Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, you've got some Democrats. They are, oh my God, beside themselves because Democratic Socialists had a big night in New York City. 3 candidates supported by Zohran Mamdani beat members of Congress. They took out 2 incumbents, all right? Then in Washington, D.C., huge election there. The sister became the mayor-elect, she, Democratic Socialist. And so now it's like, oh my God, the world is ending. They're taking over. What is going on? All these people are losing their minds. James Carville, oh my God. He is just cranky, mad, upset. Listen to this, fool.
But the idea that we must neglect everything else that's going on, all of these other primaries, all the recruits Jason has, all huge, phenomenal successes we've had, and declare that the party is now under the control of a Democratic Socialist of New York City is insane. But understand, these people do not like Democrats. Not only are they not Democrats, they wish Democrats poorly. So I just cannot. Maybe there's a way that you can say to, I guess Mamdani is the leader of it, is, you insist that, try to insist that the people that run under your banner run as a Democratic Socialist and don't use the Democratic Party as your guideline, and let's negotiate the terms of a schism here. Maybe we can part under some kind of advantageous terms for both of us. But I'm done. I'm not in that fucking political party. I am totally.
You're totally nuts. That's what you are. Speaking of nuts, Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman.
In Michigan, but all of them have intensely anti-Israel thing. Now, I remain as really the last Democrat in the Senate that's proud to stand with Israel. Absolutely. And now these kinds of places like that coffee house are calling out a Jew that you're banned, just for what reason? I mean, that's what's becoming part of the Democratic Party. And now hating on Israel and essentially anti-Semitism has become like, the center of a lot of these primaries across the country, and definitely that we're witnessing in New York City.
You know, but Senator, years gone by, you would be considered a mainstream Democrat. I was very close to Joe Lieberman, for example, a great guy. He would not want to be a part of this movement either. You're like the only person that is standing against it. What about the other people in your party? Where's Chuck Schumer? Where are other prominent Democrats? Why won't they speak out against this madness?
I mean, I'm proud to stand with Israel, you know, whether if I'm the last Democrat, you know, here or not. I'm proud to stand with Israel, and I'm going to call out what I'm witnessing all across the country in all of these races. And you have these kinds of candidates that are actively trying to cram as much anti-Israel and essentially anti-Semitism into their platform. And now these are the kinds of people that are winning right now. Now, whether it's a Nazi tattoo or if it's actually someone like a Chevalier going to the pro-Hamas rally on 10/8 after 10/7 and celebrating the 10/7 massacre. Look at these kinds of people and the circles that they're in. Look at the kinds of things that Mandami's wife had liked on social media. You know, the kinds of music that she listens to, these views, that thing, you know, just intensely anti-Israel and intensely anti-Jewish now.
Well, let me ask you this, because...
So, Fetterman said that he called them the dirtbag left, okay? And I want y'all to understand, he's like, these anti-Israel. So, do y'all understand that Dan Goldman, Democrat Congressman Dan Goldman, he lost to New York City former comptroller Brad Lander? Do y'all know that Dan Goldman is Jewish? Brad Lander is Jewish. Are you aware that that district is the most Jewish district in the country? And they voted for Brad Lander because he does not support continuing to support Israel. So if Jewish people are taking that position, I'm just saying, what the hell are you talking about, Fetterman? All these people are upset. They're angry. Sonny Hostin on The View had to clap back at one of her co-hosts.
Mamdani does emerge as a kingmaker, but at what expense? He just absolutely neutered Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, who have the job of trying to win back the House and Senate for Democrats by endorsing candidates against sitting House members.
How did he neuter them exactly?
Because I'm going to get into it. Just let me get into this.
All right.
You just talked about these goods and services. You want the police to come. You want the fire department to come. Well, one of your new candidates, Avila Chevalier, who won last night, wants to abolish the police and all prisons. She was asked 4 times, how would you deal with somebody who committed murder then? What is your plan? And she dodged and didn't answer. She tweeted that Obama is evil, Biden is a rapist and a war criminal, and bleep Kamala Harris. These were not people running on an affordability agenda. These were left-wing extremists that were elected last night at the expense of moderate Democrats. So a seat that you guys do need to win if you want to take back the House.
I don't like the way she sounds at all.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Well, she's not the party. But she's one person.
But that is the point, is these candidates that were endorsed by DSA, the Democratic Socialists, were extreme candidates. And I've seen this happen in my party where the extreme right wing takes over and you can't get your party back. I would warn you all, this is very dangerous and it could risk you losing the House.
I disagree with that. You know, I think that New York is the nation's cultural and political capital, and that's just a fact. And I think the Democratic Socialists of America is a force to be reckoned with at this point.
Yes.
I really do believe that. You mentioned these other candidates that won, but you didn't mention Brad Lander, who ran on basically a Democratic Socialist platform. He ran on building more affordable housing, protecting reproductive rights, the fight to protect and stand up for the LGBTQ plus community, Medicare for all.
Who did he unseat, though? Who did he beat?
He beat another Democrat.
He beat Dan Goldman, who led the impeachment against Donald Trump.
Yes, but
you took out a sitting progressive liberal who was a liberal hero 2 years ago.
Perhaps
but because he believes in Israel's right to exist, he lost his seat.
But because perhaps it's time for change. Perhaps it's time for change. The Democratic Party, for a very long time, has been searching for an identity. And I see a great parallel between, to your point about the right, I see a great parallel between the rise of the Tea Party in 2009 as a rebuttal, basically, to President Obama's policies and the financial crisis, and the Democratic Socialists of America's rise in 2016 in reaction to Donald Trump, in reaction to health care, in reaction to the loss of health care.
One thing I would say is I just...
And no shock, Stephen A. Smith had to weigh in.
Be very, very clear. If the Democratic Party becomes the likes of Zoran Mamdani, who, by the way, I like, not trying to throw any shade on him or anything like that, but if the Democratic Party becomes him, you have no chance. You have no chance on a national basis in terms of the presidency. In Senate seats in the House, you have no chance. You have no chance. I want to be very, very clear about that. You might have a Democratic Socialist sprinkled here and there, but that ain't what America is. America's about capitalism. America's about dollars and cents. America's about an economy, a flourishing economy. Okay? And you know what it's not about? Free stuff. Somebody got to say it, so I'm going to say it. Somebody got to say it, so I'm going to say it.
Oh, my God. These people, they get on my nerves. Okay. Stephen A., can you please do some damn research? He said, Zoran Mamdani, they'll win some races here and there, not the presidency. Stephen A., in the history of America, no New York City mayor has ever been president. None. Not one. Not one. So please, what the hell are you talking about? See, this is the stupidity of folk who do no research. And I can't believe they won. Well, this also what happens when you don't do your work. Tish James, Attorney General of New York State, she told CNN, some of the candidates that he has supported, speaking of Mamdani, are individuals who do not understand the politics of New York City, the cultural differences from district to district, who have not been part of the history and the struggle of some of these districts and are relatively new to the body politic. Okay. Then she said, speaking about Mamdani, all of us are a little frustrated with the Democratic Party, but you don't blow it up. That's what MAGA has done. Just let me help you out with something, Tish. Does MAGA control the White House? Yes. Do they control the Senate? Yes. Do they control the House? Yes. For these people who are like, Mamdani, he was elected mayor of New York City last year, correct? Do you know who was re-elected mayor last year? Andre Dickens in Atlanta. Do you know who was re-elected last year as mayor? Randall Woodfin in Birmingham. Do you know who was re-elected as mayor? Justin Bibb in Cleveland. And I can go. Lyles in Charlotte. I mean, I can start naming. Is the world ending because those folks got elected? No. Y'all, all of this stupidity is because New York City is the media capital of the world. It's because ABC, NBC, CBS, MS Now, CNN, Fox News, they're all headquartered in New York. They think that New York speaks for the rest of the country. No, it doesn't. And this is also a math thing. So let's see here. So go to my iPad. House, 435 members. Senate, 100. How many Democratic Socialists represent or in Congress right now, in the Senate? Bernie Sanders. Right now, how many self-described Democratic Socialists are there in the House? 1. AOC. Now, you did have folk like Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, member of the squad, the group of young members that came in. AOC was one, Katie Porter was another. She said this.
Democrats, your slip is showing. When I was coming out, my grandfather used to use the expression, your slip is showing. It basically just means you're telling on yourself. Pundits, you're telling on yourself. Because I want to know, why is it when moderates win elections, it's a new blueprint for the Democratic Party, it's a bellwether for the future. And when progressives win elections, we're an anomaly, it's a fluke, and not a mandate from the people? Your slip is showing. Your bias is showing. The people have spoken. Listen to them.
Presley said the people have spoken. And Nicole, what I need people to understand is that there is no politician, there is no Democrat, there is no Republican, there is no independent who owns a seat. If you are an establishment member of the party and you're mad because your candidate lost, then you should be mad because your ass didn't work hard. You should be mad that your campaign sucked. You should be mad that your agenda wasn't as good. You should be mad that you did not connect with the voters in the right way. The fact of the matter is, voters get to choose who they want to represent them.
Mm-hmm. And what's frustrating about this is a few things. First, we're seeing some of these talking heads and even politicians come out fervently against these DSA politicians, but they were quiet when it came to the war on Black people that we've been seeing for the past few months. Quiet about gerrymandering, but now they're so upset because people in these major cities elected someone that offered to feed them and get them to work and find housing for them. They don't speak up about things when it's an attack on Black people, but when they feel like their seats are going to be up and we're done with the status quo, that's when they get upset. And look, they need to take this as a sign. We have Janice Lewis-George here in D.C. We have wins in Seattle, California, and New York. The Democratic Party needs to take that as a sign to move to the left. We are tired of these weak sauce Democrats who just drag us further and further to the right when the Republicans move to the right. We need to fight back and punch harder, okay? Mamdani was able to turn out young voters at a higher rate than we've seen in New York. And if we want people to show up to the polls in November and in 2028, we have to come with some heat. We don't want any more status quo. We're ready to move on and fight back against this power structure that we've been seeing for these past few decades, if I can say that.
Here's why I will disagree with you to some extent. And that is, a Democratic Socialist can't run in every race. That only works in certain places. I doubt very seriously a Democratic Socialist, Matt, can run in Georgia, can run elsewhere. When Stephen A. yells, we're capitalist, duh. But what folk have to do is say, no. What is their agenda? They were speaking to affordability. They were speaking to health care. They were speaking to housing. They were talking. If you take the so-called Democratic Socialist agenda and then you say, this is what Brandon Scott has done in Baltimore, same agenda. He doesn't simply call himself a Democratic Socialist. Same agenda. People, Matt, are voting for an agenda. They're not caught up in, are you a liberal Democrat, centrist Democrat, conservative Democrat? Are you establishment? No, they're saying, I need somebody who is going to speak to my interest in Washington, D.C., and I'm going to give this person a shot. Sounds to me like when them Tea Party folk got elected, when they took out establishment Republicans.
Yeah, I think there's some nuance I want to add to it. So the first thing is, I disagree fundamentally with your fundamental premise that Mamdani is just kind of cordoned off in New York and that's not going to reverberate. Ironically, I remember you and I having a conversation about this a few months ago, and I think the fact that Mamdani is the mayor of the biggest city in the country necessarily gives him the largest stage, and what we're going to see from that is likely more comfort, or I guess less reticence to jump out with further left positions. Maybe not here in Texas. Ironically, the Texas Democratic Convention is going on here in Corpus Christi for the first time in, I guess, ever. So, Tallarico and all those folks are right down the road from me. But I think what you're going to see is you're going to see people around the country who are not afraid of the socialism tag or not afraid of the super far progressive tag. I think the ghost of Joseph McCarthy is happy right now because we're still afraid of socialism. But what's realistically happening is people are looking, to your point, to some degree, at the agenda and saying, it's incredibly expensive to live right now. Who's talking, what I want to hear? And they're going to get behind those people. But the issue here is really gatekeeping. You have people who see their power slipping away, and they don't like that there are new power brokers. And that's because the Democratic Party, what do we complain about for the last couple of years? They're not energizing people. People are not excited. They don't want to go to the polls. Now you have somebody who is energizing people and who's winning, and you have a political environment where people are looking to the person with the loudest bullhorn with the best vibes, right? It's happening on the far right with Trump. That's why he got reelected. That's why you have people in lockstep with him. And I think Mamdani is showing that there is going to be a movement on the opposite side with far progressives who are going to be less afraid to say things that 10, 20 years ago would have gotten them kept out of any meaningful conversations for electability. So that's what I think is happening. And I think the power brokers are afraid of the fact that they're losing control of the party. But also, when you have two big tents, inherently, it's going to be hard to corral everybody under that. And those moderates are, mad that they're losing control of the party. But that's what I see.
Again, I am going to stand by my position, Michael, that Mamdani, the focus on Mamdani is significantly overblown because he's in New York City. The reality is, if this was another city, it wouldn't be getting the same attention. It wouldn't. Why? Because it's not the media capital of the world. But when I look at these things, again, what I pay attention to data. I pay attention to how people look at these things. So for instance, you take Janice Lewis George, okay? She wins in Washington, D.C., okay? This is what the Washington Post said. She amassed more than 75,000 votes, the most dominant primary performance since Adrian Fenty in 2006. And then when you go through this article here, that she exceeded Muriel Bowser, her race there. It laid out in terms of how she performed in all of the various wards. And so, again, what does it say? Louis George's campaign was fueled by organized labor and tenant groups which gravitated toward her pledges to create taxpayer-funded housing and universal child care, pledges that will be challenging given the city's financial struggles. Well, guess what? The two of the incumbents in New York City, Michael, lost even though they had significant labor support. I dare say that what this is about, and if you are a old school Democrat, what you should be doing is asking the various question, how did we get out organized? How did we get out mobilized? That's what it boils down to. Maybe you got your ass kicked because you weren't holding town halls. You weren't talking to your constituents. You were not advancing the issues they care about. Like, I'm not sitting here freaking out by what happened, because what I understand is that 3 races in New York City, again, are different. You got a race in Pennsylvania right now where labor unions that traditionally support Democrats are supporting the Republican candidate because he stood strong on some labor issues. So again, these elections are local elections. Okay? They're local elections. Primaries are even smaller than the general. And so if there are Democrats who are angry and upset, Tish James, Jamie Harrison, and others, guess what? Tell your incumbents to get off their ass and do some work.
Yeah, Roland. So there are a few things here. Number one, because I've been watching this from afar here in Detroit and looking at the analysis. So number one, I think that the majority of Americans across the country are more concerned about results as opposed to what you call yourself. Okay, number one. Yeah, Democratic Socialists, it could work in New York, in the New York area. I doubt if they would win in a district race somewhere in Alabama or Georgia or Mississippi. Okay. But the second thing is people want fighters. And those who have traditionally voted for Democratic candidates, we hear them. We've talked about this here on the show. They want people who are fighters, people who are going to fight for them, their families, their issues, right? And this is a challenge for a lot of established Democrats who may be perceived as more of a go along to get along, or can we, be bipartisan, things of this nature. And then I think it was Matt who made the point about the gatekeepers. Yeah, you're going to have some gatekeepers in the Democratic Party who are definitely threatened by this. I don't think there's going to be a wave of Democratic Socialist candidates who either run or even get elected, but it's going to be, there may be policies that are adopted that get woven into campaigns. And lastly, Roland, we had the conversation here when Mamdani was running for mayor, and we talked about how he used social media. We talked about how he went on the street and was talking to people about the cost, I think it was falafels or something like that, the cost of that. And we talked about how other candidates were trying to mimic what he's doing. What he's doing. So there's going to be an effect, I think, from how people take tactics from Mamdani's campaign, his successful campaign, and try to utilize that, try to leverage social media, try to leverage doing interviews with a man or woman on the street, things of this nature. But and lastly, looking at what happened in New York, most of those candidates that won, the Democratic Socialists, they're Latino. Most of them are not white. The majority of them are not white. And we look at Mamdani. He's not white. So when I hear old white people who are afraid of what they see coming, there's a fear of the browning of America in the Democratic Party also. Okay, so we can't act like it's just Republicans. No. Yeah, it's the most of it is the Republicans, but there's a fear of the browning of America from some white people in the Democratic Party also.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I said white fear. I didn't say white Republican fear. My book is called White Fear.
No, I'm not saying you did.
No. I'm making a point. Okay. My point is, the book is not called White Republican Fear, it's called White Fear. That's the point. And so that's people have to understand. And so people need to wake up and realize that voters decide who wins elections. And I remember when you had a prominent Democrat, a prominent Republican who was in the leadership, and he got upset and didn't see it coming. He raised all this money, and he raised a ton of dough. And the dude who beat him, it was crazy. That guy barely raised any money, had no name ID, but people were angry, and Eric Cantor lost to a Tea Party challenger. They organized. And so this is the whole thing for any incumbent. If you're afraid of losing, how about you get off your behind and advance an agenda that speaks to where people are today? And when Tish James says, well, people don't understand the history of these districts. Guess what, Tish James? That means nothing when districts are changing. They're literally changing. Some districts today do not look like they did 20 years ago. So if your campaign plan is 20 years old, you might want to update it. I'm just saying. We'll be right back on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. All right, folks, let me tell you about Chapter. Now, if you're on Medicare or about to be, the system is not set up to work for you. Too much fine print, too many plans, and too many people making money off of your confusion. And look, we're used to this. We're no strangers to systems that don't have our best interests at heart. But we don't have to accept it when it comes to Medicare. That's why I'm telling you about Chapter. Their advisors are independent and honest. In fact, they're the only Medicare advisors that compare every plan nationwide. And they're focused on one thing: what works for you. If there's a better plan out there, they'll find it. If you're already in the right one, they'll tell you that too. There are no games. Just last year, people who switched with Chapter saved an average of $1,100. It's 20 minutes and a real person. It's completely free. My parents actually have already called. My mom sent me a text. Folks, give Chapter a call at 724-264-8281, 724-264-8281, and connect with someone you can trust. Folks, these are the kind of services that we need for our audience here at Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network. So call Chapter right now, 724-264-8281.
Melanie Campbell, National Coalition on Black Civic Participation and Black Women's Roundtable. And we are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered all day, every day, 24/7. Spread the word.
Folks, time for Black Star Network headlines. Brittany Noble.
A black teenager, 19-year-old Kadir Skinner, was shot in the back by a police officer in Wilmington, Delaware, after officials claimed he exited his home. He armed a loaded firearm at a crowd of officers. However, his family says there are conflicting accounts about what happened. Skinner was killed late Wednesday night during a chase, and according to police officers on patrol, they were monitoring a large crowd when they observed a man armed with a handgun exit a residence and point the firearm towards the crowd. When officers approached Skinner, he fled on foot. During the chase, he was shot and taken to the hospital where he later died. His father, Darrell Dollard, stated that the witnesses he has spoken to provide accounts of the incident that differ from what the police shared. Dollard expressed his distress and emphasized the need for transparency regarding what happened to his son. The officer involved in the shooting had been placed on administrative leave during the investigation. An Arizona police officer is facing trial for 2 counts of aggravated assault. The indictment follows an internal investigation that found she used excessive and unnecessary force against individuals who were handcuffed or in custody. Carrie Carrico, who resigned from the Buckeye Police Department earlier this month, was indicted by a grand jury. She has pleaded not guilty to the charges. The first incident occurred on November 1st, 2025, when she arrested a pregnant Black woman for reckless driving after a traffic stop. Video from the booking facility allegedly shows her pushing the woman against the wall and dragging her back to a bench. The footage also appears to show Carrico swinging her arm toward the woman's head, seemingly striking her. The second incident took place 3 months later in January of 2026 and was captured on surveillance video. It shows her punching a handcuffed man in the head. Her trial now is scheduled for November. A Black man in Petersburg, Virginia, has been charged with assault after intervening in a beating incident. Taiwan Crenshaw stated that while he was driving down a neighborhood street earlier this month, he witnessed a young man being beaten with a board. He decided to intervene, which ultimately led him to being charged with simple assault. Crenshaw, who works with individuals with special needs, is a mandatory reporter, meaning he is legally required to report suspected abuse or neglect of vulnerable individuals. When he stopped to intervene on Baylor's Lane, the situation escalated. Petersburg police arrived at the scene and took a report and interviewed everyone present. Following this, Crenshaw was arrested and charged with simple assault after witnesses claim he threatened the attacker, Harold Parker, a claim that Crenshaw denies. 2 days later, Harold Parker, the man accused of beating the young man, was arrested and charged with abuse and neglect of an incapacitated adult. Crenshaw hopes the charges against him will be dropped and says he has no regrets about stepping in to help. Black TLC reality star Karen DeRico was arrested for threatening her ex-husband, Dion, and their 14 kids. 46-year-old Karen was arrested in Las Vegas and charged on June 23rd with harassment violating a restraining order, preventing a witness from testifying through threat of violence and aggravated stalking. According to court documents, Karen sent several threatening emails to 55-year-old Dion, whom she shares 14 kids with. She allegedly wrote in June on the 14th an email, "I want you dead. I could kill you, and it won't even bother me to go to jail. And I'll kill any of my kids if they take your side." In a May 2nd email, Karen allegedly warned Dion to watch out because she planned on getting a gun and or would have someone kill him before he could go to court. She has pleaded not guilty to the charges. She is set to return to court August 6th. Karen and Dion starred in the TLC series Doubling Down with the DeRicos. The couples filed for divorce back in 2024. Well, John Bolton, former national security advisor under President Trump, pleaded guilty today in federal court to 1 count of illegally retaining classified national defense information. He's agreed to pay a fine of $2.25 million. Bolton served in this role during Trump's first term and has been a vocal critic of the president since then. He appeared in court earlier today for a rearrangement in Greenbelt, Maryland. He admitted to the unauthorized retention of national defense information, having initially faced 18 charges. Bolton could face up to 5 years in prison. He's scheduled to be sentenced on October 28th.
All right, Brittany, appreciate it. Thanks a lot. All right, folks, Speaker Mike Johnson, this was so hilarious, y'all. He was speaking to a group of Republicans, and he was like, man, if y'all don't vote, man, it's going to be rough around here.
Am on the ballot because in a real sense he is. If we were to lose the midterms, heaven forbid, these Democrats, y'all, impeachment's not even the big concern. They will turn every committee of Congress into an investigative body, and they'll go after the president's family, the cabinet, his donors and friends. Half of you in this room will be targeted. I run the protection program. I'll take care of you, okay? We're gonna win. We're gonna win the midterm, okay? All right? I'll leave.
Matt, you goddamn right. Go after every single one of these crooked bastards.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, but I think we've got to be careful. You know, I've taken that position before, and I'll echo it again. I think, you know, we need to investigate what we know to be bona fide misconduct, but we don't need to turn our government into an investigative body that is out preying on people because now we've got the power. But I do think
yes, we do.
Speaks to a tacit admission. This is Mike Johnson saying, this is what we're doing. They're going to do what we're doing. So make sure you vote so that we are insulated from the consequences of our own actions.
It also means him saying, yo, they done some crooked shit. That's what they're going to be investigating. This man has been raping and pillaging. They have been giving contracts in the Pentagon to companies that Don Jr. and Eric are investigating.
Yes.
Jared Kushner has become a billionaire by getting money out of Saudi Arabia while he's negotiating Mideast so-called peace deals. These people, Donald Trump has pardoned numerous individuals found guilty of fraud, and not only just pardon them, saying you can keep the money you stole, and they're selling those pardons. We are seeing massive corruption up and down in this administration, so you damn right there needs to be congressional hearings investigating every single thing that these thugs have done. Elon Musk brought his punk ass in and killed investigations of his own company, of SpaceX, of Tesla, benefiting him. So, yeah, you damn right, we need those investigations.
Yeah, but those things aren't mutually exclusive. I mean, what I said is consonant with that. Go after people where we have evidence that they've done misconduct. I mean, there's no question right now.
Every
rampant corruption and
Trump's whole administration.
We're seeing people in lockstep with that rampant corruption because they're buying, what he's selling, right? And the BS that this administration. I mean, we've got the UFC fighting on the White House lawn. We've got just insane things as it relates to corruption. But I still think we also, just philosophically, I don't like the idea of the government becoming, this witch hunt where it's just out trying to get every single person that's your political enemy, not only as an attorney, but as a citizen. I don't like that idea. I don't want to imbue the government with any more authority to go out and pick up people that it doesn't like. Don't get me wrong. If there's bona fide evidence, go after it, absolutely. But I don't want those investigative agencies to now be investigating every single person that's just connected without bona fide evidence, because that doesn't help any of us. That just exacerbates the problem we already have.
Here's what I know.
Misconduct, if there's demonstrated corruption, go after that.
First of all, you can't know it's demonstrated corruption unless you investigate. And get all they crooked asses. They have done, hold up, they crooked shit ain't even been hidden. It's like out in the open. Donald Trump has done more stock trades this year than every member of Congress combined. He is doing stock trades on a Thursday and then announcing a policy decision helping that company on a Friday.
Yeah, we're not disagreeing. I'm merely saying we need to make sure that when the government comes back to the hands of Democrats, we're not encouraging lawlessness in investigation. If there's evidence, go after it. Absolutely. Nobody disagrees with that premise. But I don't think it's an idea. It's a good idea to say our government needs to become this entity that's out looking for every single person that may have ever committed a crime related to Donald Trump because they're tangentially related. I don't think we do that.
Well,
I think if there's bona fide evidence, go after it. Otherwise, you get into the point where you have a DOJ that's doing exactly what it's doing now, and that does not help the American citizen.
No, Nicole, when you have a DOJ that is supposed to investigate crimes, then they investigate crimes. And if they happen to be in the Trump administration, so be it. If they happen to be Trump donors or family members, so be it. But these crooks deserve to be investigated.
100%. As someone who regularly practices congressional investigations and has done investigations before DOJ, Trump's DOJ at that, there's no way that when we take the power that we're going to say that we're not going to be conducting investigations. The good thing about Congress investigating specifically is that they have committees that are specifically designated to investigate this type of behavior. So it's not a waste of taxpayer dollars because that's what we put them in those committees to do. We need the Judiciary Committee to come out swinging when it comes to investigations. We need Jamie Raskin to be ready to go, which he will be, because we know Jamie Raskin does not play when it comes to congressional investigations and the Constitution. We don't want to sit back and just wait and see what happens. We need Congress to come out doing investigations and DOJ. And on top of that, if Mike Johnson is so afraid that a Democratic Congress will conduct these investigations, it's because we know that they have something to hide. And from my experience, the Republican Party has conducted so many unfounded investigations into DEI, transgender people playing sports, abortion, anything that they think that their base is going to like. They conduct an investigation, they have a hearing, they rally their base, and they don't even find any evidence. Democratic Party, we are typically a little softer with our investigations, but we need them to come out a lot harder and expose these crooks for what they are.
Michael? 2 words from the movie How High. Get 'em.
Yeah, when Democrats get power back, they have to wield power and hold all these crooks accountable, launch the investigations. And Mike Johnson and those thugs, they should be afraid. Democrats are going to have to balance the investigations with fulfilling campaign promises, meaning focusing on affordability also. So they're going to have to balance the two, okay? But I want to focus in quickly on something Mike Johnson said. He said they have a protection program. What is that? Is that the SAVE Act? He said they have he said, don't worry, we have a protection program. They have a plan, it sounds like, to steal the election or something. Because Trump continues to fall in the polls. He's in the low 30s, right? And Mike Johnson is trying to calm them down. But I want to know, what is this protection program that you have? Okay, so this is why we really need to pay attention to this. There needs to be record turnout in midterm elections, especially from African Americans, because this is how you start fighting back and start the process of stopping this nonsense and taking back control of the House, the Senate, and then in 2028 of the White House. But yeah, he told on himself. He told on himself right there. They are scared to death of what's going to happen when Democrats take control of the House and possibly the Senate.
I'm telling y'all, take them out. Take them all out. These are absolutely corrupt individuals. What, Matt, what you sitting and whining about now?
I was saying, Nicole's point speaks to what I was saying. She delineated a number of different investigations that had absolutely no basis. I'm not saying we don't investigate. I'm not saying Congress doesn't need to do its job. I'm not saying that's not important. I'm merely saying we have to be concerned when the government is imbued with this power to investigate whatever it wants to investigate and whomever it wants to investigate, because what that does is that trickles down to a point where people are going to be falsely accused, and there are going to be a lot of people caught in the fray who are not the blatant corruption. Obviously, blatant corruption, you go and get that. But we as a general proposition need to be metered in how we use government investigative process.
Okay,
because otherwise you're going to have a lot of people having to plead not guilty to BS charges. I mean, as somebody who does criminal defense.
The point of an investigation is to seek the information to see if there was criminal wrongdoing. That's the point of an investigation. An investigation and an indictment and a trial are different things. And what I'm saying, it needs to be investigated. It needs to be investigated. Pay-to-play schemes in this administration. When it comes to handing out money, you got to investigate whether the tobacco industry made donations right before the vaping decision came down. You got to investigate if these companies made donations right before these EPA decisions came down. That's the whole point of the investigation. So I can't wait for Democrats to take control of Congress and force these thugs to reveal the evil they have been doing. Folks, a couple of passing of giants in journalism. Rosetta Miller Perry, frontline civil rights activist, journalist, and businesswoman, most famously as founder and CEO of the Tennessee Tribune has become an ancestor. She served in the United States Navy and then became one of the first black students ever granted a degree from Memphis State University. After attending Howard Law School, she spent 25 years working for both the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights and later the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, investigating discrimination cases across the South. Unable to secure a bank loan, she invested $70,000 of her personal savings in 1991 to start the Tennessee Tribune. The paper became an institution in Nashville and across Tennessee as she used the paper to press for racial equality and champion black entrepreneurship. Later, she founded the Nashville Black Chamber of Commerce. Zetta Miller Perry passed away at the age of 91. Folks, Tony Brown, a giant of American journalism, has died. His family announced on Facebook earlier today that he passed away last week. He was a prolific journalist, activist, and educator, also a proud member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. This here, folks, is what they posted on Facebook. Tony Brown, host and executive producer of Tony Brown's Journal, the longest running series in the history of the PBS network, made his peaceful transition on June 17, 2026 at his home in Newport News, Virginia. He died of coronary heart disease. Brown was an influential television journalist, educator, and civil rights advocate whose groundbreaking work elevated black voices in media and higher education for more than 4 decades. Widely regarded as a champion of truth, empowerment, and opportunity, Brown dedicated his life to the principle of self-help in the pursuit of excellence. Tony Brown was also a prolific author, keynote speaker, and media entrepreneur. His work consistently empowered. His work consistently emphasized empowerment through knowledge and accountability. He was a recipient of numerous honors, including Educator of the Year, Communicator of the Year, and the Ambassador of Free Enterprise Award. Brown built a lasting legacy as a trailblazer in both media and academia. Born William Anthony Brown in Charleston, West Virginia, Brown was a proud graduate of Gwinnett High School, an all-black school that helped shape his life and the lives of many future leaders. His primary education at Gwinnett formed the foundation of a life devoted to learning, leadership, and service. Brown carried those early lessons with him throughout his life. At Gwinnett, he joined the track team and excelled in academics, especially English and drama. He performed in school plays and before graduating in 1951, performed segments of Shakespeare's Julius Caesar on WGKV radio in Charleston. After completing his military service in the U.S. Army from 1953 to 1955, Brown enrolled at Wayne State University in Detroit, where he studied sociology and psychology and earned a bachelor's degree in 1959. Motivated by a deep concern for the effects of poverty on African American communities, he continued his education at Wayne State. He received a master's degree in 1961 in psychiatric social work. He briefly worked as a social worker, deepening his understanding of people, communities, and the challenges they face. Brown was a devoted member of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, joining a brotherhood known for scholarship, leadership, and civic engagement. In 1962, Brown turned to journalism, joining the Detroit Courier as a drama critic. He quickly rose to the position of editor, establishing himself as a prominent voice in the city's media landscape. In 1968, he left the newspaper to pursue a career in public affairs broadcasting at WTVS, Detroit's public TV station. Over the next 3 decades, Brown became a pioneering figure in television programming focused on black audiences and issues. At WTVS, he produced Colored People's Time, the station's first program specifically aimed at a black audience, as well as Free Play, another community-centered show. Activism was central to Brown's work. In addition to maintaining a strong presence in community-oriented programming, he launched initiatives aimed at advancing economic and educational opportunities for African Americans. Called Television's Civil Rights Crusader in a cover story by Black Enterprise magazine, Brown also played a significant role in the civil rights movement. This self-help proponent coordinated a Detroit march in 1963 that featured Martin Luther King Jr. and, according to Business Week magazine, drew an estimated 500,000 people, perhaps the largest civil rights march in America. It's also believed to be the first time Dr. King delivered his famous I Have a Dream speech. USA Today selected Brown as one of the top 5 leaders to analyze the status of Black America. Best known as a longtime host and executive producer of the award-winning television program Tony Brown's Journal, Brown became a central figure in American broadcasting history. In 1970, he was named executive producer and host of Black Journal, a New York-based public television program that had debuted 2 years earlier and aired nationally. The program combined commentary, documentaries, and public opinion segments. Brown's tenure at Black Journal was often controversial. His forthright criticism of the U.S. government's impact on African American life, along with his uncompromising editorial style, drew criticism from both broadcasting circles and segments of the Black community. In 1973, Corporation for Public Broadcasting announced it would withdraw funding for the program. The decision prompted protests from around the country, and Black Journal continued to air, albeit on a limited basis. In 1977, Brown secured a sponsorship agreement with the Pepsi-Cola Company, relaunching the program as Tony Brown's Journal and moving it to commercial television. The show returned to public television, where Brown hosted the nationally syndicated series for 40 years. The Emmy-nominated program became the longest-running series in the history of PBS and was ranked among the top 10 television shows of all time, presenting positive Black images by the New York Daily News. Tony Brown's Journal is an irreplaceable primary record of African-American opinion and experience. The TV series received the 1991 NAACP Image Award for Outstanding News, Talk, or Information Series Special. Even before Tony Brown retired the Emmy-nominated award-winning series in 2008, it had become the longest-running series in the history of PBS Network. In 1979, it was, according to the A.C. Nielsen Company, the #1 rated syndicated talk educational national TV series. Tony Brown's influence extended far beyond the television screen. He was a passionate educator. He served as a professor at Central Washington University, Federal City College, Howard University, and Hampton University. Brown helped shape the next generation of journalists. In 1971, he founded the School of Communications at Howard University in Washington, D.C., and served as its dean until 1974. In 1980, he founded Black College Day, an effort to encourage students to consider HBCUs and preserve those important institutions for generations to come. The U.S. Congress officially designated the last Monday in September to honor that observance. He also founded the Council for the Economic Development of Black Americans, whose Buy Freedom campaign urged support for Black-owned businesses, even creating freedom dollars. To address the issue of drug addiction, he wrote and produced the film The White Girl. In 2004, he returned to academia as the first dean of the Scripps Howard School of Journalism and Communications at Hampton University in Virginia, a position he held until 2009. In 2012, Brown was inducted into the Scripps Howard School of Journalism and Communications Hall of Fame in recognition of his leadership in transforming the school into one of the nation's top journalism programs. In addition to his TV work, Brown hosted influential radio talk shows in New York on WLIB, Chicago, WLS, connecting with listeners in a more personal way. Talkers, a prestigious radio trade magazine, named him one of the 100 most important radio talk show hosts in America. He also wrote books including Black Lies, White Lies, The Truth According to Tony Brown, Empower the People, a 7-step plan to overthrow the conspiracy that is stealing your money and freedom, and What Mama Taught Me, the 7 core values of life, 2003. I interviewed Tony Brown when I was at Texas A&M when he came to College Station. And Michael, again, a lot of people, of course, he had been sick, had been out of the limelight for the last, 15 or so years, but profound impact in the 1970s, 80s, 90s, and early 2000s.
Message today when I found out that he passed away. I follow Tony Brown on Facebook. I grew up watching. I'm 55. I grew up watching Tony Brown's Journal every weekend because my parents watched Tony Brown's Journal. So I watched him for years, from when I was a little kid up until I was in college. And I bought his book back in the early 90s, Black Lies, White Lies. He had people like Dr. Claude Anderson on his show, Dr. Chancellor Williams, Dr. Malefikete Asante, Jim Brown. He talked about Dr. King, Malcolm X, stereotypes in the movies, all different types of subjects impacting African Americans. And, he is a big influence on me. He's one of the inspirations for me starting the African History Network show in 2010. Seeing him right there, this is a big loss. This brother, I think, is very underrated, and he was a big proponent for economic empowerment for African Americans as well. So, this is why we need journalists. This is why we need brothers and sisters to have TV shows to bring this type of information, this type of empowerment to people. But, this is a big loss. He's going to be missed. And we both graduated from Wayne State as well. Me just a few years after him.
And it was, again, you know, his talk show was, you know, again, he was, you know, putting screws to folks. And I remember he wrote, Nicole, I remember he wrote a column criticizing the gathering. Come on, go to my iPad. Come on. Thank you. Go to the iPad. He was highly critical of the Congressional Black Caucus for the gatherings for the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, saying, listen, why spend all that money? I think it was like chicken wings and meatballs, and he said you should be putting that money together to buying hotels.
And one of the beautiful things we know about Mr. Brown is that he dedicated his life to service, and not just service, but service for Black people specifically. At a time where, even though that's difficult to do today with the pressures that we face from the federal government, it was even harder back then. So, I mean, all we can do is thank him for his service and be proud that we get to follow in the footsteps of somebody that is so great and dedicated so much of their time to helping people that look like us even be able to speak on a platform like this. So, like y'all already said, we lost a giant, but I know heaven gained somebody great. So,
let's see, Matt. Do you remember Tony Brown, Matt? Just checking.
I don't vividly, but I will tell you. I mean, truthfully, but I'll tell you that it's an extraordinary thing to watch your forebears, the people who've laid that road for you. I mean, I took classes in the school to see that he founded. And I know a lot of people who are on, you know, media around the country, my fellow students from Howard, who benefited from the legacy that he left. So I don't want to be dishonest. I don't remember his show. I'm not as long in the tooth as Michael, but nonetheless, I do appreciate his legacy.
This was Tony Brown interviewing William Roden regarding his book, $40 Million Slave. In fact, this is the anniversary of that. Watch this. Get a little bit of this.
I'm Tony Brown. Can a slave make $40 million, or can $40 million a year make a slave? Or is the term, quote, $40 million slave, end quote, an oxymoron? Then what about putting it another way? Author William C. Roden also explains this phenomenon as, quote, the rise, fall, and redemption of the Black athlete. My guest, of course, on this program is William C. Roden. He is a New York Times sports columnist and author of $40 Million Slaves, The Rise, Fall, and Redemption of the Black Athlete. Welcome, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was an honor.
Thank you. It's my honor. And not only do you have this book out, but I understand within a very short period of time, months even, you have another book that's coming out. What's the name of it?
It's a book called Third and a Mile. It's an oral history of Black quarterbacks, which I'm pretty excited about, too. In fact, there are a couple of guys.
That was actually 20 years ago, $40 Million Slaves. This is the 20th anniversary of that book. And so certainly condolences go to Tony Brown and his family. And, of course, Michael, he was an alpha man. Just saying.
I know he's an alpha, but we both graduated from Wayne State University. So you know, we forgive him for that. It's okay.
You need
it's
to
okay.
Okay. You need to have some tie-in. But
Roland, very quickly, with the Congressional Black Caucus, he talked about you need to put that money into a fund that you spend on the parties and spend on the weekend. And he said leverage it 10 times and buy hotels so you can have conferences at Black-owned hotels. That's how that brother was thinking. I mean,
absolutely.
He was phenomenal.
This, of course, real quick, this was a quick interview he did with Angela Davis. Here's a little bit of that.
A bygone era on this program. I watched the winds of change whip through the late 50s and 60s, heralding in the civil rights movement. I coordinated a march in Detroit in 1963, led by Martin Luther King, which drew over 500,000 people, believed to be the largest civil rights march in America. It also may be the first time Martin Luther King delivered his famous I Have a Dream speech. Things were peaceful then. But the ideals of the civil rights era gave way to the angry rhetoric of young blacks who believed that violence was the only way to get justice.
In many cases, you have police forces unleashed on them because they are peacefully demonstrated. And my position is that we do not stand there and allow ourselves to be shot down and beaten. We have the right, we have the human right to defend ourselves and to defend our principles and defend what we want to do. And so I would say that in the event of violence in a revolution, you always have to see that in the context of defending gains of the people. We have a right to defend those gains.
In 1972, Angela Davis was much sought after by the media when she was released from jail. She gave me the first interview because, she said, our audience was responsible for her release from jail. Right or wrong, there was a lot of sticking together then. The era of overt racism ended through a succession of court decisions and legislative action, replaced by a conservative mood which now ironically calls itself colorblind. But the disguised attempts to distort history will never replace the goodness, the voices and images of that era, the voices of freedom. As Dr. King wrote from his Alabama jail, quote, "We will win our freedom because the sacred heritage of our nation and the eternal will of God are embodied in our echoing demands," end of quote. Racism has never permanently won a battle, and it never will. I'm Tony Brown. In a moment, visions and images of the struggle of old.
Tony Brown, 93 years old. Let me thank Michael. Let me thank Nicole. And let me thank that Longhorn fan, Matt Manning, for being on today's show. Certainly appreciate it. Of course, let me shout out Wilberforce. I'm wearing this shirt I got from Wilberforce University. Yesterday I wore another shirt, the Marauders, yesterday, and which is across the street from Wilberforce. And Wilberforce was like, "Yo, when you gonna wear our shirt?" I told you, I'm like, calm down. I was wearing. What you shaking your head for, Matt? Why you shaking your head? What's the problem?
I'm just listening, brother. Go ahead. I'm just listening. I ain't saying
I thought
anything.
you had issues over there. You was over there just like, what, you just swing low? What you sing the Negro spiritual hymn or something?
I ain't seen you wear a Howard shirt in quite a long time, is all I'm saying.
Well, there are 100. There are 103 HBCUs, and so I have to get through, and I've been to 58 of them. So I only wear gear of HBCUs I've been to, and so Howard's not the only one that I've been to.
Well,
anything else?
Okay, I just don't see you wear it very frequently, so
I don't wear it very frequently because there are 57 others I'm trying to wear.
Okay, I just don't see you wear it very much. So wear it next week. How about that? Why don't you wear something next week?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
Okay. Good. Don't about tell me what the hell to wear. All right, y'all. Y'all. Support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club, folks. If you want to contribute via Cash App, use a Stripe QR code. You see it right here. Of course, that's for credit cards as well. If you're listening, go to blackstarnetwork.com. Also, all y'all people on YouTube, hit the damn like button. Y'all guys been freeloading. I don't think we even hit 1,000 likes yet. So y'all playing around. So hit the damn button, okay? That's ridiculous. How have we done had all the people and just have 668 likes? Man, we better hit 1,000 likes before I get done. Y'all need to get going right now. Hit the doggone button. Don't let me start calling y'all out by y'all names. All right. Checks and money order, make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 2003 7-0196. PayPal's R. Martin Unfiltered. Venmo RM Unfiltered. Zelle Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Download the Black Star Network app. Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Samsung Smart TV. Be sure to get our Roland Martin Unfiltered swag. Go to, that's right, shopblackstarnetwork.com, shopblackstarnetwork.com. You got t-shirt. No, Doc, you're going too fast. Thank you. Slow down. Stop getting itchy with the fingers. All right, shopblackstarnetwork.com. We've got t-shirts, hats, hoodies. We got zip-ups. We got mugs. We got wall art. We got all kind of stuff available right there on shopblackstarnetwork.com. And so that's critically important. So I want you to get our gear. And so here's the other deal. If I see y'all out, do me a favor. Get a picture. If y'all, not even see them out, if you get our gear, take a picture, email it to us. You can send it to info@rolandsmartin.com. You can also post on social media, tag me in it. And if I see y'all, I will show y'all in the gear. And so we appreciate folks who get our Roland Martin unfiltered gear. So we appreciate it so very much. Also, folks, all these products you see right here, all of these products, Black-owned companies, you can actually get on shopblackstarnetwork.com. And so, man, we got, again, mugs and watches and jewelry. We got backpacks. We got all sort of different stuff. We got dolls, pet food, pet treats. We got cake mix. We got sauces, man, you name it. We got all sorts of stuff. We got Black-owned toilet paper and Kleenex. And so what you need to do is go to shopblackstarnetwork.com. Tell your family and friends. And again, when you support these companies, wrong graphic. I don't know why you keep showing the wrong graphic, dog. That's the, see how you, thank you. Marketplace, shopblackstarnetwork.com. That's the stuff. Go to the marketplace, support these Black-owned companies. Again, go to shopblackstarnetwork.com. I'm gonna see y'all on Monday. Have a great weekend. Holla!